Welcome to Mindless Entertainment. I am Jesse Milestone, and today we are going to talk about Infinity Wars. Yes, the upcoming Marvel movie. But before we do that, what's that you say? Something different about me? Oh yes, thank you. Thank you for noticing. Thank you so much. You mean something besides the fact that my makeup is making me look like I'm trying to relive my emo days. That was an accident. That's not the thing that's new and different. Thank you for noticing. Very kind of you. Anyway, I just want to talk about this. I've been watching some of the trailers, so I am a Marvel fan. I don't know how y'all feel about that. I'm a Marvel fan. I'm a Marvel fan for a lot of reasons. I think that they have handled the transition from this existing comic book universe with this existing fan base to the screen very respectfully. I think they've tried to preserve some of the tonal elements. You know, there are dark and serious parts to the comic books. There are also lighthearted, campy parts to the comic books, that being them being comic books. And I think they've done a really good job of preserving those elements going from one to the other. I think that you can appreciate them for the tone they have. Not everyone likes the Marvel movies, and I think most of the criticisms people have are valid, but are a matter of opinion, not a matter of filmmaking. For example, you might not like the Thor movies because they're campy as all get out. Now, my dad, who calls every movie boring and derivative, actually does like the Thor movies specifically because of that, because they don't take themselves too seriously. They're not trying to sit there and be like, we're the most novel and amazing thing ever. But they just sort of understand what they are and present themselves for that reason. The best criticisms I heard of Black Panther are people who are fans of the comics who didn't feel like they brought that story to life in a way that was super truthful to the comics. For that, I blame pacing, not just pacing of the movie, which there were some issues with that, but pacing of the universe. Black Panther should have had a lot more time to establish himself, but really his movie had to be kind of written in as like let's introduce the character, but sort of one off the story a little bit, because we really need to just get him in the universe and get certain things in like Wakanda set up so that we can insert them into Infinity War. So I think that probably that story, especially if you're a fan of the comic books, suffered a little bit going from one place to the other in that respect. I do like a lot of other things about that movie though. I think that Marvel didn't suffer being bought by Disney the same way that Lucasfilms did, because Lucasfilms, Disney was the one that rebooted Star Wars, basically. They made that purchase and they rebooted Star Wars on their own. Marvel Studios existed before Disney bought them out and did the whole thing, obviously. And so what you have a studio with an existing framework, with an existing universe, with existing people already on board, already working for it, who have this plan. I mean, by the time that Disney gets it, they already have the bazillion-year plan to make all of these freaking movies. So they're kind of it feels like they're left alone more, and left with their creative integrity a little bit more. Disney's like, well, this works. This is making us money. We don't need to stick our grubby paws in it. So they didn't, and I think that that's preserved a lot of the integrity of that. And I think that Marvel also took its damn time. You know, in some ways, everyone else is trying to play catch up. Like, oh, let's go here to Marvel. I've talked about why DC has suffered for that reason. Marvel really let that slow burn, creep in. Like, here we go. Let's make this movie. And then that movie, and introduce this character, and introduce that character. And oh yeah, sort of somewhere in the beginning, I mean, really by Nick Fury, you realize we're building towards the Avengers, and you had to wait for it. It's maddening in some ways, like, oh, you may have to wait this many years to see this next movie, but it's a good thing. You work that slow burn all the way up, and that is what has me worried now coming into Infinity Wars. My biggest criticism of a Marvel film is in Civil War. The whole, team of superhero versus team of superhero just felt ridiculously gratuitous. The introduction of Black Panther in that felt sloppy and unhelpful, Obviously, okay, we're going to tease him in here and then give him his own movie, but it was just almost distracting because you have this fascinating, different character that you're bringing in that for people who are familiar with the comic books recognize immediately, and it's great and fun. So probably for them it was a little easier to be like, oh, there he is. For the rest of us, it's like, oh, okay, who is this guy? What is he doing here? I want to know more about it. His dad just died. What's going on? And instead you're like, oh, he's going to pop in and do some fighting and then pop out again. Woo! Ant-Man was just completely unnecessary. It just became tilted a little too far into that, like unnecessary comic relief that I thought was stupid. I thought that whole fighting scene, while it was cool, while it was well done, and while it was visually appealing, was just gratuitous and didn't really do anything other than be like, let's watch these superheroes match up power to power. And so that's my concern now coming to Infinity War. You already had this feeling of, wow, there are just too many people. I'm so overwhelmed. And now we're adding in not just Black Panther, all of freaking Wakanda is part of this movie. We're adding in, we got all the Avengers, we got all that stuff coming at you, we got Loki's coming back, and then we're adding in the Guardians of the Galaxy. like the frickin' Guardians, who have picked up a new member with Mantis, you know, in the previous, you know, things. I just want to aside real quick. The chick who plays Mantis, Palm Clementif, is the most amazing human being ever. I used to sit next to her in acting class up until she, you know, went off to shoot this and become amazing. She was really amazing until everyone knew she was amazing, and she's awesome. So follow her on social media and stuff, and just like be a huge fan of her because she's totally worth being a fan of. Anyway, fangirl moment over. Back to reality. So yeah, so you have Guardians, which is its own solid cast of characters now. Integrating with this existing cast of characters that we've added more because we have Spider-Man in there now, we have Black Panther, and then now all the Wakanda and all that stuff, and we have to introduce, I mean, we've had Thanos teased a bunch, but now we're bringing him into this whole thing. And now I didn't even know, someone just recently told me that it was initially marketed as this is going to be Infinity Wars Part 1 and the next movie is going to be Part 2. They changed the name so it's not Part 1 and 2 anymore, but that idea, I guess, is still going to be in there. So like, okay, what's going to happen then? Am I going to have 2 hours and 20 minutes of pure exposition? Because that's kind of boring. I mean, you think about it even too, like some of the stuff we've seen in the trailers, is that all going to be in Infinity Wars, or is some of that material actually for the later film that we're gonna have to wait for now? Like, how much can you I mean, you still, that's, you know, when you do a part 1 and 2, you still need 2 complete movies, you know, you still need the one movie to be fun and watchable on its own, not just like a, well, I watched this one, let me take a few hour intermission and come back and see what happens, you know, because this is going to be like we watch Infinity Wars, we have to like it and care enough about it to go see the next one when it comes out. And as some of us have seen with The Last Jedi Backlash, a lot of people jumped off the bandwagon on that. So you screw up once, you could lose people if you know, handle a beloved franchise not respectfully. Speaking of respectfully, Marvel respects its fans. Loki, I think, was supposed to be killed off in the first Avengers movie, and they were like, no, he's great and everyone loves him. Oh my god, look at this beautiful thing we have here. We should probably do more with it because people love him and we like our people. So that's a thing. But we're not talking about my frustration with Star Wars right now. We are talking about my trepidation, I would say, regarding Infinity Wars. I don't have doubts per se. I have questions. I have concerns. Marvel has yet to disappoint me. So I'm going in this optimistically. I really am. I'm being an optimist about this. I'm saying I think they can do it, but it's just going to be a lot. It's like either you're going to have what you got with Harry Potter #5, which was so difficult because that's one of my favorite books. It's got so much richness in it, but they stuck it into one movie and it's just like this breeze through, like this highlights reel of here are the important points in the book and now we're done, you know. So I'm worried that Infinity Wars is going to be that, like, oh, here's all this cool stuff we're lifting from the comics, right? We didn't get that, we gotta get that, we gotta get that, we gotta get that. We have to deal with so much. We have to deal with the Guardians meeting the Avengers, we have to deal with the Avengers meeting the Wakandans, we have to deal with the passing of the torch with Captain America. Who's gonna be the next Captain America? We don't know. And if it is Bucky, well, we have that, and we're gonna have that. We have the Bucky Steve Rogers reunion in there, so if it's gonna be Bucky, at least we can throw that in there together, but that doesn't really make sense, because right now Bucky is still kind of like not, you know, America's choice for its captain. I don't know. So yeah, so I have concerns. I want to know. I'm curious. I'm very curious how they're going to bring it all together, if that's going to work, if it's going to feel rushed. I really do think there are parts that are going to feel way too rushed. That said, there's going to be some excellent moments. How can there not be? We've already seen teasers in the trailer about some great little quips between Star-Lord and Tony Stark. I think that's going to be an excellent relationship. There's going to be a lot of tension that's just automatically going to be in there because Marvel has done a really good job of creating these characters, of establishing these characters, of giving them all unique individual personalities, voices, their own movies, their own rich histories, so they know, and the actors really know who these people are. So that chemistry, I'm not worried about that. I'm just worried about packing everything into a movie without making it feel rushed, and without making it feel dull, because the entire thing is just building up to one big battle that's going to happen a year from now in another movie. So that's all. Let me know what you guys think. Are you excited for Infinity Wars? Do you like Marvel? Do you hate Marvel? Do you think they're doing a good job with it? Does the fact that Marvel under Disney does a great job make you even angrier that Disney Star Wars is horrible? I don't know. Tell me what you think. I'm always curious. Follow me on the stuff. Twitter at Jesse Milestone, Instagram at Mindless Entertainment, Facebook, Facebook.com/Mindless Entertainment. Just follow me at places. I don't know. Check out my Patreon. It's really cool. I'm going to be doing like a patrons only live stream at some point this month because I like my patrons better than I like the rest of you, but I really like the rest of you too, so don't take that the wrong way. I mean, I love you all, I just love them a little bit more. So they give me money. What do you want from me? That's all I got. So yeah, come back next week. We're going to talk about other stuff and things. You guys are due for a Meant to Offend video, so I'm going to have to send that your way. One of these days now. One of these days. Also, wear black on May 25th, right? May 25th, we are mourning Han Solo. Wear black wherever you are. and talk about it. Talk about why you're wearing black and stuff. Dress like you're going to a funeral and probably get hammered. That's all. Bye.